A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back again, everybody. We're back for episode 3 of Fantasy Brews.
Woo-woo.
Less than a month until the first matchup of the season.
Super excited.
Chiefs-Texans, Thursday night. Who you got?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go Chiefs.
Yeah, I think so. The Texans won't be set yet, especially with no preseason. They won't be set. Like, later down the road in the season, that would be a much better matchup.
Well, DeAndre... Oh, never mind. He's on the Cardinals.
Well, I think the week 1 Texans won't be ready. They won't have found themselves yet.
And the Chiefs are coming off a Super Bowl win.
If it was like a week 9, it'd be a good, close matchup.
They're going to be a fun team to watch.
That's going to be a great game regardless.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. It'll be awesome
High
to watch.
scoring.
Yeah, the last time they matched up last season was a hell of a game.
Well, do you remember the score? I don't remember.
No, but I remember
being
it came down to like a shootout.
That's awesome.
It was crazy.
Football's back soon.
Almost. Stats are in on last episode, and we had a total of 27 downloads, which is an improvement. We are improving our numbers.
That's exciting. I think we had, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had the same amount of downloads in the first couple of days as we did for the entire first episode.
Yeah, the first couple of days on this second episode went a lot better. So thank you, everybody out there. Let's get the next numbers up and let's keep going and going and going.
Tell your friends, tell your family, find us on Fantasy Brews Pod.
And tell your cats, too.
They love the show.
Tell that barista you've been meaning to talk to. Maybe they like fantasy football, and boom, now you're getting married. Invite us to the wedding.
Could you imagine if those two two of the 27? They'd have so much. God, what an exclusive club that would be.
It might happen. We are available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure to go follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Brew Pods. We made a couple Twitter friends last week.
Yeah,
we can get in some engaging conversation, some feedback,
and one Twitter enemy.
Yeah, there's this one guy. I'm going to call him an enemy. I feel like he's just felt very strongly that Jonnu Smith is not going to do anything this season.
He says 16 to 20.
Yeah, and
tight end.
I mean, I'm hoping Jonnu Smith does well, just so I can find that tweet, go all the way back, and come and be like, "How's it going now?" Not that I got nothing against you. I love debating about football. Right. I love debating. But I also like being right.
I think part of debating means being at least open to the other side and consider, because there's a very real chance that Jonnu Smith is not that great tight end.
Except he's there basically wide receiver 2.
He's prime for the opportunity.
He's got nothing else. Corey Davis.
Well, there is a world where he finishes pretty poorly. There's, I feel like, a better chance in a world where he finishes in that mid-range and has a chance to really, really step up. He's an athletic freak kind of guy.
I hope so. Tighten up. Today's beer, we're going with Spotted Cow. Requested by Brian on Twitter. Another beer from New Glarus. Last year, 2 Women was also New Glarus, but this is like a Wisconsin staple. This is the Wisconsin beer. Like everyone, Miller Lite, I live literally a mile away from that place. No, this is the Wisconsin beer. It is a farmhouse cream ale. A little cloudy with some fruity notes to it. Another one you can only get in Wisconsin. I know you and I have been drinking it since we started drinking beer. It's just this is the beer in Wisconsin.
If you have friends coming from out of town, send them home with the case. If you're sitting there thinking, wow, 2 New Glarus beers in a row, 2 beers that you can only get in Wisconsin, well, get the hell on Twitter and tell us what beer you want. Because this was this was asked for by one of our most respected followers.
We'll drink any beer. we take recommendations. We get you engaged and we listen to you. And we only had one person say something, so we listen to them.
You know, I don't want to I was thinking about next week's beer already a little bit, and this might be a spoiler on this show. But next week we're doing a mock draft, and I don't love Miller Genuine Draft.
Oh,
but draft is in the name, so I'll see if I can find something better. But
hopefully,
it's a low bar.
Go through the rundown. We're starting off with corrections from last episode. I messed up a couple times, said some things that weren't true, so I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna correct myself. I don't think you had any. Did you? I didn't listen to you as much. I just noticed when I made a mistake.
No, I'm perfect.
Okay. Moving on to our facts or stats of the week. We're going to hit you with some latest news updates, discuss a couple high and low players, and we're approaching a majority of drafts that are going to be going on with less than a month till the season starts. Just want to make sure you're prepared for that.
Ours is Saturday.
Dynasty draft Saturday. People zooming in who can't make it. We're going to be outside, socially distanced, and drinking socially distant beers. Afterwards, we're going to be doing a few superlatives, giving some more draft advice, and round it all out with this week's edition of Brews Clues. I am up 3 points.
Yeah, just brag about it.
You got a full season to make up for that. For 3
and a
points.
few more games.
You got a while. So my corrections. You know what I got wrong last week?
There was the John Elway thing.
Yes, John Elway was the GM when Manning won the Super Bowl for Denver. He became the GM in 2011. They won the Super Bowl in 2013. I just don't like the Broncos, so I just didn't actually care that much.
They won it in 2021 as well, with Rodgers.
Okay.
Bold prediction.
Oh, we're going to have to correct yourself for next season. Going back to the episode 3
At the end of next season.
You're going to have to correct yourself. Just remember this. Mark it down.
Possibly.
Call us out. Brian called me out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because of the Elway thing.
I was unsure. I thought he was, but I don't know nearly enough of, that whatever. So I didn't have the cojones to say anything on the show.
Do you know what else I got wrong?
I don't.
Joe Theismann did not play again after his injury in 1985. That ended his career.
I threw that. I mentioned that last week, but it was like 5 minutes afterwards because I had to Google it.
Gotcha. I was probably Googling it while you were answering it on the podcast. I was Googling it at my desk at work while I was listening to the podcast.
If you think about it, Jackie's the one who asked you that question, so it's kind of her fault.
It's everything in it. And the last one I got wrong. I got 3 things wrong last week. I'm going to start looking it up right away, silently typing on my computer so I don't sound like an idiot. Braylon Edwards, when he was on the Browns, he didn't get in legal trouble because of a gun. He had an assault charge, a DUI, and multiple speeding violations. So he didn't bring a gun.
Kind of better?
Somebody brought Plaxico Burress shot himself in the foot. I might have gotten it mixed up with that a little bit. There was some other receiver who had brought a gun to the locker room.
It sounded vaguely familiar. Have you seen, I know the answer, but do you remember the earliest show on YouTube?
Yes.
They always do the corrections at the beginning of each show.
Oh, yeah.
They're hilarious. Check it out on YouTube.
Well, we're supposed to at least pretend we know what we're talking about, but I keep getting things wrong. But these aren't, none of these things had anything to do with actual, current fantasy players. It has to do with a guy who's been retired since 85, a GM, and a guy who has not played in the league in years. So at least it wasn't anything relevant.
Wait for our first listener to tweet you saying, I lost my fantasy championship.
I drafted Braylon Edwards. Sean,
oh, man.
You got your fact stat quip?
Yeah, should I?
Fact stat quip. Woo!
All right.
Fact stat quip.
And there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
So you might remember the answer. I'm going to ask you some questions for this. You probably know
I'm
the
going to have to make corrections.
It's not a quiz. Just getting your opinion off the cuff. The first one you probably know the answer to because I said it the other day when we were playing games. Do you know how many quarterbacks last year had a week where they were a top 12 quarterback, a QB1?
You said it, and I want to say the answer was... I don't remember. I was probably drinking beers. I'm going to say 30.
You're close. I guess not. 39. 39 quarterbacks had at least 1 week as a top 12 quarterback.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Next question. How many teams are in the NFL?
Oh, 6.
Okay, you were further away. 32 for those that don't know. So there are only 32 teams, but 39 quarterbacks had a top 12 week in standard scoring at some point in the season. So the reason I bring this up is we're going to be talking about draft advice a little later. And one of the tips I'm going to harp on a little bit is I like to draft quarterbacks late. So I have a game now for you. I have a 2-question game. Which side of this equation would you rather have? Would you rather have Lamar Jackson and Mike Williams? Or would you rather have Matt Stafford and Julio Jones?
Stafford and Jones?
Would you rather have Dak Prescott and Golden Tate? Or would you rather have Ben Roethlisberger and Keenan Allen?
Honestly, Prescott and Tate in that one.
That one's definitely close.
Only because Roethlisberger's coming off the injury. Yeah, they say he's looking great, but that's the only reason I hesitated for that one.
He's getting old. And
if Ben Roethlisberger came off a healthy season and an average healthy season, I probably would have done it.
I almost went with a Mahomes and somebody because it would have been a wider pick, but he was so close to Lamar. So what I did was I picked guys that were going in the same area. Lamar Jackson is around the 14th pick according to Fantasy Pros right now.
Jeez.
Overall, Mike Williams is around 108. And likewise, Julio Jones is 16, so right around where Lamar is, and Matt Stafford is 106, right around where Mike Williams is. So I'm not going to draft Lamar Jackson, and I'm not saying Lamar Jackson is bad because he's the best quarterback. But for fantasy, there's the opportunity cost of picking somebody right there. If you're willing to wait and get a guy like Matthew Stafford way later, then you replace that position that you picked from earlier with Julio Jones or a top-tier running back. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
We'll be hitting on stuff like that more on the show. I know I've got a couple things on directly related to that, and we're giving out some advice. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the quarterbacks. I never draft a big superstar.
Oh, check this out. I won't list all of these, but I threw down a few names of quarterbacks that would catch your eye. Marcus Mariota in week 1 was the QB 10. Kyle Allen had 3 separate weeks.
Allen started off the season
8.
good, and they were probably all in the top first half of the season too.
They're scattered around. Matt Moore played against the Packers when Patrick Mahomes was injured, and he was the QB 12. Jeff Driscoll had a QB 5 week against the Cowboys. So injuries happen. Players move from starting to not starting or whatever. And if you stream off the waiver wire, you can play the matchups. But that's for later.
Mine, I think I've talked to you about this as well a little bit, but it baffles me if this would have gone through. Just over 5 years ago, the Eagles offered their 2015 first and second round picks, their 2016 first round pick, Sam Bradford, and Fletcher Cox for Marcus Mariota. I looked up more. That's what the trade ultimately would have turned out to be.
A few minor auxiliary pieces.
Yeah, it was actually to trade up to get the number 2 pick, who they knew the Titans were going after Mariota, and they wanted to get Mariota.
Right.
Because number 1 was, they knew it was going to be Winston.
Yeah.
Yes. The Eagles took Aguilar with their 2015 first round pick, so that's who that turned out to be.
Okay.
Their 2016 first round pick that the Eagles eventually got was Carson Wentz, but they had to trade up to get him. Okay. So they almost did. Carson Wentz almost never happened on the Eagles. Who knows where he would end up? That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Because Chip Kelly played a huge part in recruiting Mariota to Oregon. When he was at Oregon, then he found himself in a position of power at the coach for the Eagles. Obviously, he got fired because he tried this. When Mariota headed to the NFL, Kelly just saw himself in a good position to just grab him. And he loved him. He did everything he could to get him to Oregon. Then he wanted to do everything he could to get him to Philadelphia. Exactly. Reportedly, Kelly actually said to take any of our quarterbacks and take anyone on our defense. Their quarterbacks were Bradford and Sanchez. So obviously Bradford was the pick. And Fletcher Cox, their best defensive player. So that's who that would have been, which is why they said that. Mariota obviously lost his starting job last year and is now backing up Derek Carr in Las Vegas. I'm like, that's weird to say.
That's a crazier lopsided
I just said
trade
Las Vegas.
Yeah, but you did it right.
I did.
Yeah.
That Las Vegas rate, that's just weird. Like, even typing it out, I was like, Las Vegas. That's strange. I gotta get used to that. They've been in Oakland my whole life.
Teams changing names
and
locations. And
Las Vegas Raiders. Ugh, that's strange.
The LA Rams and LA Cardinals Chargers. Are those both new? Or
yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting used to that too. Used to be San Diego, that's right. And where are the Rams?
St. Louis.
That's right. Maybe that's why I said
back
Cardinals.
when they had Sam Bradford. Whoa! Full circle. All right.
Did it.
So that is my little thing. The Eagles, I think, are very happy that trade did not go through in the long run.
Yeah.
They ended up with Wentz.
Got to keep Fletcher Cox.
They got
and Nelson Aguilar. Oh my.
Aguilar.
Thanks for the fact, Kyle. That was an interesting
You're welcome. And now it is time for news updates with Mike and Kyle. We're gonna drink beers and talk about the news.
All right.
Of course, we're gonna touch on the final COVID opt-outs. I actually looked into more of the details. I could not find anywhere. I mean, I assume I know what happens if, like, midway through the season a player wants to stop because of COVID, but I don't know exactly. Like, I couldn't find anywhere if there was anything set in place for that, or if they're literally just, like, not playing.
Because if nothing changed, the deadline was last Thursday.
Yeah,
unless of episode 2.
Unless they can still opt out after the deadline if a close family member gets sick or they're newly diagnosed with a high-risk condition.
Yes, I see. Gotcha.
So they can still opt out, but high-risk players can earn $350,000 on an accrued season, and an accrued season. Without high-risk players, they can earn $150,000. It's basically just an advance that they're going to be paying back, but they cannot change their mind.
Okay.
They cannot just be like, oh, now I want to play, here's your money.
Makes sense.
They're done. They're not playing the season.
Kaput.
But they can be traded. They can't just, like, they can't do anything with, like, their contracts and anything, but they can still be traded.
Right.
So I put down a couple happened. There's still Damian Williams is the biggest name.
Yeah,
Nobody
absolutely.
as big as him. Geronimo Allison for the Lions, because
Right.
he just had a child.
Good for you, Geronimo.
He was fighting for a backup role.
He
Didn't
would
see.
have been 4th behind Amendola?
Yeah, he would have been behind Amendola,
Probably.
and that's... I mean, Amendola's not really impactful much anymore.
No.
Especially with the two he's got in front of him.
I don't need him.
Albert Wilson, another hit for the Dolphins. Dolphins lost 2 of their, I don't want to say main receivers because,
Parker's still there, right?
yeah, but they lost Alan Hearns.
Yes,
they don't really
that's
have
right.
much at receiver now. Like,
Who's the guy who got hurt last year? Preston Williams.
Yeah, Preston Williams.
People like him if he's back from his injury.
I mean, I feel like Wilson could have been a sleeper pick.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have, if anyone on here, he could have been a sleeper pick, but not anymore. Oh well, sorry,
Good
Dolphins.
night. Wait. Good morning?
So that's
Never
why,
mind.
like, I can't see Tua, even if he, like, gets the start right away, he's not going to put together a Rookie of the Year season. He's got nothing to work with.
Right, yeah, I mean,
He's got Devontae Parker.
and Devontae Parker's going to do work still, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's it.
how many people can Tua really support?
Yeah. And then Travis Benjamin from the Niners. They are hurting at wide receiver.
Yeah.
That does not
Ayuk?
help. They got no more
Brandon Ayuk?
Sanders. I know. Debo's most likely out to begin the season.
Yeah.
Sanders is on the Saints.
Yep.
Ayuk, it could emerge as the number one, at
He's
least to
their-
start the
was
season.
it a first round, second round, but he's a rookie wide
Yeah.
receiver. Reduced time in training camp and stuff like that, but
I would say, honestly,
you're the only option.
Ayuk in like mid to late rounds, I would very much consider drafting
Yeah,
him.
for sure.
He's just in a position. He just
we'll
got
draft
put
him
in
next
this
week.
position, not even planned. Just like, well, he's got to step up, man.
49ers were smart
Garoppolo's
to
going
draft
to
a
attempt
receiver.
5 passes. Yeah, he's going very under the radar for someone who just found themselves all of a sudden in this this potential top spot. And I mean, if he performs well first couple weeks, and then Debo comes back, he's still 1-2 with Debo, and he's established himself. He's got to get a good rhythm going with Garoppolo, and he could be, who knows.
We might talk about Brandon Ayuk a little later.
Oh, wow. Look at that. And then last, but yeah, doesn't matter, Josh Doxson for the Jets. About as much impact as Allison had on the Lions, really.
I think from my... Oh, man, I deleted the text. I'd have to check the tape. But I believe Josh Doxson was one of the receivers drafted ahead of Michael Thomas from last week's fact or stat or something that I shared. It's embarrassing.
No, it's exciting because I love when there's just random guys like Terry McLaurin last year. Who knows? Who knew that was going to happen?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely nobody.
fair. Good times.
So that is the opt-outs are done. That's good because now we can actually the drafts can get going. You know what's going to happen
Doesn't affect...
for the most part. Well, you don't really know what's going to happen. No one knows what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's true.
But at least it helps.
A little bit of clarity, a little bit of consistency to move forward with.
And then there's Darius Geis.
Oh, no.
Let go by the Washington football team after being arrested Friday for domestic violence charges. He's also facing counts of assault and battery, as well as destruction of property. And let's I don't know if you have anything down, but let's not get into details on exactly what he did because that's not the vibe we want.
That's not
And
relevant to the podcast.
They're
not as
honestly they're
effective.
disgusting, and nobody ever wants to hear that shit that he did. He's an idiot. I think / kind of hope his career's done.
It seems like it might be.
I mean-
Teams could have picked him up.
Look what happened to Ray Rice. Ray Rice could have been picked up by plenty of teams, and he was still plenty good. And I hope Geis is. I honestly don't care about the guy. He's hopefully done.
What was? I guess
Finally. What's that?
So you're on Sleeper too. If you don't have Sleeper downloaded, they're great for they're a great platform for playing fantasy. But you get news updates.
They give me updates faster than ESPN gives me
It's
updates.
really awesome.
I get it as soon as it happens.
And if you recall, they were like there were 2 updates for Darius Geis, and they were like 30 minutes apart. Like, oh, Darius Geis turned himself in for all this bad behavior. Oh, Darius Geis is cut. Like you have it like instantly.
Well, I mean, Washington's dealing with all the name stuff already. They're just like, this is already, our image is already like, come on, no.
Quick, change it back to Redskins.
Get rid of him. But they got rid of him.
So with Geis gone out of Washington, he's no longer on the football team. Is there a back that you think is going to be the lead guy there? Is anyone
It's the
you want?
same freaking situation as the Patriots, basically. like, we'll say the Patriots added Lamar Miller, signed him to 1 year. But look at they've got way too many running backs. So does Washington. I honestly think, at least to start the season, Adrian Peterson is once again He's in a huge pressure spot for the team.
For sure.
He's going to be seeing a lot more action than a 35-year-old running back who's taken hits his whole life has expected.
Who's he, Frank Gore?
But last year, 898 yards and 5 touchdowns. Not bad.
He played well, and he's not the worst guy to have on your team, and he's a big leader. I feel like he was on the roster bubble initially, but here he is.
No way. He's on the roster bubble.
Who else do you have there?
Well, I actually, I put up a poll on Twitter, Adrian Peterson, how many yards people think he's going to be getting at the end of the season, given his new situation. Majority of people voted 501 to 750 yards.
Okay.
41.7% of people voted that, which is a little less than last year. But a third of the votes said he'll go over 1,000 yards.
That's exciting. I mean, that would be amazing.
He's
being drafted as the 52nd running back right now. So you can take that's probably going to go up now. The guy's news is pretty fresh. And probably adjusted yet, but you can get Peterson super late, and why not? You're not drafting him to like be your starter. Mm-hmm. But if it turns out that you have a guy who's getting 60% of the carries when you see it week 1, that's awesome.
People still got high hopes for him. I mean, he slows down a little each year, but still, he's still going.
Still a beast. How many votes on that poll?
12, actually.
That's so.
That's a good amount of votes.
I'm not one of those votes.
Oh my God.
So that's
I am
11 legit.
When there's still 5 days left on it, guys, go vote.
I'll be right back.
I put a whole week on it just because I didn't expect anyone to be voting.
That's exciting.
It is.
That's like a quarter of our Twitter followers.
There you go. But as far as the next guy up, I feel like Antonio Gibson, the rookie. He's a pass catching back. Peterson not so much. So I feel like them together to start the season off is going to be a good mix.
Gibson didn't play like a heavy duty role in college. He was like a gadget guy like that, I believe. Mm-hmm. So that would fit really well.
And my guy Jordan Love.
God damn it! I was gonna bring it up earlier, but I didn't. But you just had to bring it back.
Bryce Love. Bryce Love coming off the ACL tear. He's honestly my pick to be the year-end RB1.
I see. Okay.
Bryce Love.
League dog.
I feel like, I don't know. But I mean, they also have McKissick and Barber. I have no idea.
I was going to say Tiki Barber.
Who the hell knows what's going to go on?
Didn't Tiki Barber do a backflip?
Peyton Barber?
Am I thinking?
Tiki Barber was running back for the Giants.
Did he do a backflip?
I mean, probably.
Let us know on Twitter.
Tiki Barber.
There's a Barber who did a backflip. I don't think it's Peyton Barber though. I think I was right, but I just think it's the wrong name. No, you're making up names now.
No, there's a lot of Barbers. Rondé Barber was his brother, his twin brother. He played defense. Rondé Barber and Tiki Barber. Rondé Barber was on the Bucks.
Wait, I was gonna say same team or no?
No,
that's a bummer.
Other Barber was Bucks.
Peyton Barber is not related.
I actually don't know. You keep talking
because Peyton Barber was on the Bucks. He.
Well, I mean that doesn't mean.
So there's a really high chance that Peyton Barber. Man, it's gonna be an interesting backfield to watch. I forgot that J.D. McKissick was there as well. He was a pass catching back too, or is a pass catching back too. But I think Gibson, I think he'll lock up that role.
You're going with Gibson? It's honestly a toss up, and it's
Gibson would be the guy I would want to. I guess it depends. If my draft goes in a way that I need potentially starting running back late, I'll definitely pick up Peterson. If I'm doing okay at running back, I might take a dart throw shot on Gibson and just see what happens. In week 1, does he get 5 carries or 7 carries and then like 5 targets? He is in no way related to the other Barbers. Oh man, you really found something that is literally asking the question: is Peyton Barber related to Tiki Barber and Rondé Barber? So you've now simultaneously also proven that Rondé Barber is a real person.
Yeah, I can't believe you didn't. Well, I mean, this is before. I guess Rondé Barber was before you paid attention. I think Rondé Barber retired before.
I wouldn't have known that now either. He's a defensive player.
Oh, dude, Tiki Barber was fun to watch. He was like the Saquon back then.
I believe that now I have to look something up. Tiki Barber backflip. I think he literally.
What is with you? It's just lots of people in the NFL do backflips. That's the thing to do when you're in the kneel position now. When it's the end of the game and you're taking that game-winning kneel to run the clock down. The thing to do is that you got that guy lined up behind the running back and you flip.
Well, I think
or a quarterback.
I think he flipped like when he scored a touchdown.
Mike Vick did that.
Somebody else, like AJ Green or somebody did something cool. Did a front flip or something.
Oh yeah, and I saw one of the receivers. I know there's been multiple occasions where people just get like their legs taken out and end up being flipped, but I don't remember a specific occasion where Tiki Barber did a flip.
If it's there, we'll tweet it.
There's a lot of Washington this week because not a lot else is going on in the news, but the Washington quarterback situation.
Something to look at.
They said Ron Rivera said Alex Smith is in the competition.
We talked last week about how he's back. He's cleared for football related activities, which sounds like might include
And
the act of playing football.
Ron Rivera sound like he said he's going to be healthy. Haskins coming off his rookie season took over a starter halfway through the season. I mean, he didn't show anything too impressive.
Yeah, Haskins was kind of a rough player last year, but he did end the season, I believe, on a little bit of a tear where he, it wasn't amazing or anything like that, but I believe he had a few good games in that.
We were at the Packer game, Packers-Redskins game where Haskins was playing pretty well.
Yeah, he had one tutty.
But still, again, the Packers have a good D. He still was getting in his own.
Yeah.
Then they also acquired Kyle Allen from the Panthers. Why? I don't know. Because literally, the Panthers signed him to a contract, a decent sized contract for Kyle Allen.
Right.
And they're like, nope.
Come in, Teddy B.
Bye, Cam. Bye, Kyle.
Maybe they watched him play football over the back half of last year.
Well, I mean, he started a majority of the games last year. 3,322 yards, 17 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Yeah, he definitely slowed down the second half of the season.
He was on my list of quarterbacks that, were...
Yeah, you said three
top... He was quarterback 6 in week 8, or 3, and then quarterback 8 in weeks 12 and 13.
He also lost 7 fumbles on 13 total fumbles.
That's
7 lost. That's not a good amount.
He wasn't a top quarterback, or Haskins wasn't. Haskins was on this list as well. When he ended the year last year, after the Packers, he played Philly and the Giants, and... He did pretty well. He had 261 yards and 2 touchdowns, 133 and 2 touchdowns again.
Honestly, my best advice is do not draft a Washington player not named Terry.
That seems like pretty solid advice.
If you see somebody on the board from Washington and their name is not Terry, go to the next person.
Look elsewhere.
They don't have a for sure set quarterback. Their running back situation's up in the air. How do you expect this offense to run if they don't even know who's at what position?
I would still consider... AP really late in drafts.
AP
and
maybe
Gibson with my last pick if I want to take the dart throw.
Gibson would be if it's a dynasty league, Gibson would be
like him a lot more. Yeah.
A decent pick.
Are you going to draft him next?
Not in the first round. That's for sure.
Don't you have 2 first rounders?
Yeah, and I don't have any second rounders. I'm not going to get him. I don't think so.
I forgot I had a 3rd round pick. I actually have another pick I need.
I've got 3 third round picks.
Oh man!
But anyways,
for $1.
That's the news because not a lot is happening yet. We are waiting for the season to start. It's been forever. Literally, with no sports, it just makes it seem so much longer between the NFL season. I mean, I guess we would have preseason going on, but...
Yeah, there's no... Because I guess that would be starting... Would that be starting right around now?
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame game would have already happened, I think.
Yes.
Man, that's a bummer.
Yes.
Start watching some replays.
It is very much a bummer.
I'm going to watch the Packers Super Bowl win against the Steelers on repeat.
We watched that. I had the Super Bowl party a couple years ago. I put the Packers Steelers game up, and we were kind of watching that while watching the other game.
Yeah. Good
when
stuff.
The Patriots lost to freaking Nick Foles.
Woo!
Boo.
You talked about this briefly while we were talking about Washington running backs. But just to talk about it for a little bit, Lamar Miller is going to the Patriots. What do you think? What's your takeaway for the fantasy impact? Well said.
Thank you. That's it. I don't care. I mean, I'm a huge Patriots fan, but stop it with the running backs. Just figure it out. I guess Sony Michel might not start week 1. Oh, no. Now you have to go with James White. Dang it. What? Stop adding people.
He's the only running back.
Bolden opted out?
Drafting.
Who cares Bolden opted out?
Some people still held out a little bit of hope for Sony Michel, especially where you can get him in drafts. I think Lamar Miller just muddies that too much. Some people were fans of Damian Harris super late.
I don't like that Miller is going above Harris now, probably in the depth chart. I wanted Harris to at least get some appearances, get some stuff going.
And I mean, you mentioned James White. I feel like he's the only name that you should even consider, drafting from the Patriots running back room at all.
Sony Michel.
Especially in a PPR league or a half point.
Sony Michel will drop in the draft because of the injury. He might not. But you draft White over Michel?
I mean, not at the same spot. James White, I would imagine, is going a little cheaper. But I just don't. I mean, Sony Michel he was okay at fantasy with the amount of carries he got, but he wasn't great. And he was a bad just football player last year. Or not great football player. And I think Lamar Jackson's just Lamar Miller. Wow, that would be the running back to own.
Right.
Lamar Miller, I think, is just gonna come and like he's not gonna do enough where you should draft Lamar Miller. He's just gonna like be annoying if you're a fan of Sony Michel or Damian Harris, like you said. And I would love to see Damian Harris get a chance, to touch the ball a little bit. Last year he had 4 carries.
Wasn't he hurt?
Maybe.
I think he had some injury problems.
I mean, his game log doesn't show much because he didn't play very much. But he was like a 3rd round pick or something from them.
The Patriots and the football team. I can't refer them. Just nobody. People won't understand if I just say, "Oh, and the football team." Like there's the Washington football team.
I think we talked about this on the show. But if they're the Washington football team, like the Green Bay Packers, right? So we're the Packers. So
They're
if
not
you're the Washington
football team. They're just the Washington.
But that's
they
how it
are
works.
a Washington football team.
The New England.
They should be called They should be called a Washington football team. not the Washington football team. A Washington football team.
They should be the Washington DC football team.
A Washington DC football team.
You said Redbirds is going to be the
Red
name?
Tails.
Red Tails. Okay. Birds of tails.
That's the leading one. But anyways, that's the news. Not much going on.
I hope it's the Senators. I just feel like that's funny. I like
Senators?
it. Yeah, like the Washington Senators.
Isn't that their hockey team?
Apparently, maybe.
I think that's their hockey team. So
I heard that from a friend of ours recently that floated that idea, and I thought it was funny. But
we don't watch hockey.
No, yeah, go Blackhawks.
Chicago. I like
but I shouldn't
the
cheer
Las
for
Vegas Knights.
Oh, I love the Leaves. Is that it?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Maple Leafs. Is that the team?
Yeah, sure.
I want to say
We're not a hockey podcast. You go listen to those Canucks. That's a team. They're a team. I don't know what it means. But
the way you used it was like an insult.
It was. It sounded like it. Go listen to those Canucks over there.
It's Canadian for fucks.
Listen to us football teams. All right.
Spent too much time talking about Washington.
Yeah. Just title the episode "Just Washington."
But we're not editing it out.
Just all Washington all day coming to you. 2020 high and low, guys, for the drafts coming up. We're in the position of a redraft league, of course, for these. Or, I mean, if you really started Dynasty, but even then, no.
Let us know what your thoughts are.
So I go with the high guys. I said these are guys who are going to be solid. They aren't going to break the bank for you by taking them in top rounds, but they are going to produce for you. I did a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver. I didn't do a tight end because there's like 5.
Right.
That are going to be solid. you know who the tight ends are.
And a few of them break the bank.
Yes, actually. Well, I mean, yes.
In potentially, in my opinion.
Well, because Kittle had led the league in yards after catch. Because he was just tearing it up.
He's a beast.
Because also the 49ers were the second to last pass attempts per game.
When we were talking about the 49ers receivers, Kittle's the first one.
Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah. That's very true. I won't debate that.
Then maybe Ayuk.
For my quarterback, ranked as the number 11 quarterback this year, Matthew Stafford.
Nice.
He's got a good receiving core. He goes under the radar a lot, but he was last year before he got hurt. He was on pace for 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns.
Wow.
Because he basically did half a season.
Right.
And, I mean, let people take their Mahomes and their Jacksons in the early rounds. Stafford can easily get scooped up as your QB1 later. He's missed barely any games in his career besides last year.
Yeah, he was in consideration for my Iron Man for that reason.
He's a solid quarterback. I like Stafford. He is a guy I've got that's...
I mean, not to steal.
Yes. I don't have a finish to that thought, so just quick, steal it, talk quick.
So I'm going to say words. So, I mean, it's just really funny that my, fact involved that comparison. Literally, Lamar Jackson and Mike Williams. Or if you draft a receiver earlier and a quarterback later, you get Matthew Stafford, who's on pace to be the second quarterback behind Lamar Jackson, and Julio Jones. So if Matt Stafford's not as good as Lamar Jackson, but holy crap, Julio Jones over Mike Williams, like that. And you got to start more than one receiver. So that's insane. I love the pick.
Yeah.
I'm high on that.
You got a quarterback?
I do, yeah. My high guys approach was pretty similar here. Guys that I think are going to do well this year, for sure. And I think for me, value is kind of involved in the draft. So I took Lamar Jackson's going to be great. I'm not making him a high guy because we just talked about.
There's the obvious ones.
And he's not worth that draft pick, I think so.
Because along this, I was going everyone know. You don't play fantasy football, you know who Patrick Mahomes is still. You know who Lamar Jackson is probably. These are guys that you might not recognize them as much if you don't pay that much attention, but they're definitely worth picking. Like
Absolutely.
picking in the first 4 or 5 rounds. Well, I mean, quarterback, maybe not. Depending on how your draft's going, but
I mean, because Matt Stafford is the 106th pick according to Fantasy Pros right now. So I don't know what the round that places him off the top of my head, but it's got to be like 8 or 9 or something.
yeah, that's pretty low.
So that's nice. Okay, so my high guy, my quarterback is I'm going with Teddy Bridgewater. He's being drafted quite a bit later, I guess, compared to Matt Stafford. I actually didn't write that number down, so I will get that as I'm talking.
I'll look at it.
So Drew Brees got hurt last year at the start of week 2. So Bridgewater played most of week 2. And from weeks 3 through 7, he was the starter with preparation for the New Orleans Saints. And over that span, he was the QB 12. So that's a pretty, great ranking for a quarterback that right now is going super late in drafts.
Teddy Bridgewater, somehow, he went, even when he was starting, he went under the radar for the Saints. He kept them going and going. Like,
They won.
he didn't put up
3-3,
giant numbers, but he put up consistent numbers.
Yeah, people were worried about Michael Thomas. Didn't affect him at all.
Like, that's why I was going for this.
But
These are guys who are going to get you a solid 15, 20 points. Like these, especially
100%.
for quarterbacks. And right along with Stafford, they don't go as noticed.
Right. Teddy Bridgewater, I love him because he was on a great team with the Saints last year, but he goes to
Bridgewater ranked as the 26th.
26th quarterback being drafted.
That's
awesome. Crap. That's fantastic. Grab him at the end and see what you got. He goes to another great He goes to another great offense on the Panthers. He gets DJ Moore, who's great.
He gets McCaffrey. Look how easy it is to dump it off to McCaffrey and get yards. Kyle Allen did it.
I've mentioned this before, but that division, the NFC South, is loaded with talent. All 4 of those teams, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons, Saints, they are going to put up points. And so the Panthers, like the other teams in that division, they play the other teams 6 times. You're going to be in shootouts in almost all those games. The defenses are not that great, except for maybe the Saints. So he's going to be throwing the ball more. Biggest knock on Teddy Bridgewater is that he doesn't really throw downfield very much. And I think people are getting that a lot from the Minnesota days, which were now years ago. I looked at, I believe this is
I liked him in
Pro
Minnesota.
Football Focus or Next Gen Stats or something. I can tweet whatever this is from. But last year, 20% of Teddy Bridgewater's targets in that weeks 3 to 7 span were 15 plus yards downfield. The NFL average was 25. So he wasn't that much, that far below the average. Yes.
Do you know that Drew Brees, since 2017, has not thrown a ball that has stayed in the air over 35 yards?
Wow. I did not know that.
That's crazy.
That is pretty great.
He's got Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And he hasn't thrown a ball. The ball's not staying in the air over 35 yards since 2017.
He's had Ted Ginn for a while, deep guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's interesting.
I thought it was weird.
So with Teddy Bridgewater last year in that extended window, not throwing, not being that far below the average, now he goes to a team that has Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson. So he's going to throw the ball downfield a bit more.
I agree with that a lot.
You can get him super, super late. Like Kyle said, QB 26. It's the 15th round, according to Fantasy Pros. His opening schedule. This is what I think about with quarterbacks as well. I'm drafting quarterbacks late. I'm not drafting for the whole season. I want to see what their early schedule is. He plays the Raiders and the Bucks the first 2 weeks. Week 3 is the Chargers, which
Bucks
is kind of
have a
tough.
good D.
Right. Yeah, they have a pretty good D, but it's a high scoring offense. You're going to have there's a good chance of a shootout, even if it's not like a crazy one. Chargers week 3 is pretty tough. And then Cardinals week 4. So you have a guy who's got a pretty solid opening schedule, especially the first couple weeks. My last note on him is that, like, kind of you alluded to this already. He's got a pretty safe floor. He's not going to screw your fantasy team in a week. But he's got a pretty high ceiling. He's not going to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback. But
he's a
gonna have good
safe
weeks.
pick that you don't have to take Mahomes in round 3.
Yeah, and if the alternative is you're getting, like Julio Jones or Josh Jacobs or something instead of, Patrick Mahomes, so you can get Teddy Bridgewater later, that's fantastic.
My running back, I got Chris Carson. Ranked as the number 15. That seems high. Like, he should be ranked better than that. He was the number 9 last year. He finished.
Health is the
only
officially
concern.
know that he's okay, but he's probably okay.
I mean, Hyde's not going to have a huge impact on him. I can't see Carlos Hyde changing Chris Carson's role that much. He's going into his 4th season. Each season he gets a little bit better. I can see that. I feel like Chris Carson is a safe, good pick, going to be consistent, and he's not doesn't need to. You don't need to waste a top pick on him.
He's on a good team too.
Yeah.
You put him on the football team and the Washington football team.
Put him on the Washington
and you're a
football
lot less
team.
excited about him, right?
Yeah, but he's still Then you draft him even more almost.
But not as high as where he's going right now, right? Like being on the Seahawks or on a high-powered offense, that really helps as well, especially for running backs.
Mm-hmm. Especially with how many teams have 2 running back sets, stuff like that. Chris Carson is the obvious one, and it's a good pick that he's not a big name. For non-fantasy people that
and there's question marks around the other
guy.
guys, like you said. Mm-hmm. Rashad Penny is not expected to be healthy, it seems, at the start of the season as well. So just one less piece of competition for Chris Carson.
Yes. You got a running back?
Yeah, my high running back is Kareem Hunt. So this one's kind of interesting. Right now, he's going back. He's going in the draft as the 29th running back, which is the start of the 6th round again, according to Fantasy Pros. Last year, he was suspended for the beginning of the season. When he was back in weeks 10 through 17, he was the running back 23 in standard scoring. If you go to half PPR or PPR, that jumps up to the running back 18 or 17. So he's being drafted as the running back 29. Right there, that's a value.
They say he's going to be splitting carries with Chubb.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point because this offense hasn't received any big changes outside of the improvement in the offensive line, which I've raved about. He might split out wide
They still make no sense on the same team for me. That's crazy. Like
it is weird.
On any other team, he's a number. His rookie season, he destroyed.
Yeah.
He had such a great rookie season, especially receiving. Friggin' him on the Washington football team. Like the Browns have 2 very good, crazy good running backs. It's nuts to me.
Funny,
but they're both going to be putting up decent fantasy numbers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Funny, stat about Hunt's rookie year. He was only the starter right away because Spencer Ware, I believe, got hurt or something like that. And so now here we are where Damian Williams is opting out and rookie. And
Hunt just really
screwed
himself.
He really did.
He really screwed himself with his little problem.
More domestic violence. So, anyways, Kareem Hunt is being drafted below where he finished last year. There's no reason for that because the team hasn't really changed at all. You bring up the point of them playing together. Nick Chubb's numbers didn't really go down when Kareem Hunt came back. They play not really exactly the same role. And if you're going to split out Kareem Hunt wide as the 3rd wide receiver, he's going to be even more valuable than last year. And the best thing about Kareem Hunt is I'm not really a big fan of drafting like a handcuff for people, When Dalvin Cook was maybe going to hold out, I'll draft Madison. But now that Dalvin Cook's not holding out, I'm not going to draft Madison at all. Mm-hmm. But with Kareem Hunt, he's great. If Chubb goes down or if Chubb, gets COVID unfortunately or something like that, Kareem Hunt is going to be a beast. And then even aside from when he's a beast, you can play him in your flex any week and still get points. Yes.
Chubb is the jersey that Ray bought because he wanted a jersey that said Chubb on the back.
That's pretty funny.
My friend Ray bought a Browns jersey and he got Chubb because he thought the name was funny.
Hey, it's a good jersey to have too. It's better than a lineman for the Raiders or something.
I did a wide receiver as well. Ranked as the number 16 wide receiver, Calvin Ridley.
Oh, okay.
He finished 23 last year on only 13 games. Obviously, he's behind Julio. But he's still got a ton of value.
Right.
I don't care much for Matt Ryan.
but
somehow he's still playing pretty steady skill-wise.
Right.
Like, the past season end rankings, these are his seasons going back. I'm going backwards from last season going back.
Okay.
11, 2. 15, 2. 19, 7. 15, 7. So it's like he has a mediocre year, he's got a great year. Mediocre year, great year. Mediocre. If the trend continues, he's going to have a pretty good year this year.
That's really funny.
I predict Ridley's he's going into his 3rd season. I predict his first 1,000-yard season. He had 17 touchdowns his first 2 years.
Oh, that's right.
And the Falcons lead the league with 42.8 pass attempts a game.
Wow.
May Gurley take some? Probably not even that much compared to last year.
Hooper's targets are gone.
That's what I said. I said going from Hooper to Hurst, it's not dramatic. Hooper was better than Hurst, yeah. But still, it could still give Ridley an extra target or 2 a game. And Ridley's going to have his first 1,000-yard season. Him and Jones are going to be great together. I don't like Matt Ryan, but he's still somehow putting up decent numbers.
Yeah, I like that pick. He's in that division that I like in the NFC South. And when you have a receiver as good as Julio Jones on the other side, it really helps because people will double team Julio Jones, and all of a sudden Calvin Ridley is facing like the third best DB on the team.
Well, people may look at the ranking or the depth chart if they're drafting and they see that Julio Jones is number 1, Calvin Ridley is number 2. Calvin Ridley is still a wide receiver 1 on your fantasy team easily.
There are teams that can do that. I mean, look at the Bucs this year; they're going to do it.
Oh yeah.
Wow, good pick. All right, so my wide receiver high guy, I have Robert Woods. So
Robert Woods.
This one's really interesting. Last year where he finished and this year where he's being drafted are pretty similar. My contention is that he is going to finish better than where he finished last year and where he's being drafted this year. So last year he was the wide receiver 22 in standard leagues. He only missed 1 game. He had 2 receiving touchdowns. That's ridiculous. One of those 2 touchdowns came in week 17 as well when you don't play fantasy football. Or if you are playing fantasy football, fix your league. So when you get the number of targets he had, which is 139, you do not score only 2 touchdowns. You will score more. He's going to trend back towards the average of that statistic just naturally because 2 touchdowns is so low for that number of targets.
Well, and Goff, not a terrible season. But I feel like he can easily get to top 10. Easily.
Yeah. I mean, that offense, if they fix their offensive line a little bit, if that ends up being better, which I'm a little nervous about.
Woods is in the exact same situation as Ridley right behind Cooper Kupp.
Right. 100%.
I feel like it's a very, very similar, and honestly, Goff and Ryan, maybe Ryan's a little better, but still, a lot of it's very comparable.
And we've seen that Sean McVay, coach of the Rams, is a really good coach, especially at scheming an offense. So, if he had Matt Ryan, he'd be great, but he doesn't need a crazy great quarterback to make stuff happen.
People that don't pay that much attention don't realize that a lot of wide receiver 2s are still putting up really good numbers.
For sure. Not the Packers this year, but in previous years, the Packers have been able to do that as well, among many other teams, but they come to mind. So, with Robert Woods having 139 targets, this is according to Next Gen Stats. There were only 7 receivers that had more targets than Robert Woods. So that's really encouraging. The Rams lose Brandon Cooks. They lose Todd Gurley. There are a lot of open targets in this offense, which is really exciting. 6 other wide receivers had a similar target range between 130 and 140 targets, which is where Robert Woods was. And those receivers, they ended up averaging a TD for every 23 targets among those 6. Robert Woods averaged 1 touchdown per 69.5 targets. So that's what I mean when that
69.
I mean, if you look at Robert Woods to the compared to the average, he should triple in his touchdowns. He should be at least 6. So that's crazy. That number's going to go back up. I already mentioned the targets leaving in Cooks and Gurley. It's 121 total targets from last year that are now open to whoever's going to get
if
those. If only
things. They could fix their logo.
Yeah. Then Robert Woods would be great. That's what he needs.
They need a new logo. Another new logo. They already have a new logo. But.
So when you draft him in the 5th round as the 21st wide receiver this year, you've got a solid floor. He wouldn't be your first receiver even. So
no,
you're
fifth round's a good spot
receiver.
for him. Yeah,
that's amazing.
People aren't going to be paying that much attention to him either.
Mark my words, he'll finish better.
Yes. You got any more highs? Are we going? You want to do lows and then take a break?
Yeah, I'm ready for that. Let's do lows.
All right, lows. So I went into this. These are going to be guys to grab towards the end of your draft. Kind of high risk, high reward, but still guys that people might be hesitant to pick, but you should pay attention to, especially towards the end. Baker Mayfield. Obviously, he's a name that people know, but he's a name people know just because of his persona. Mm-hmm. But still, other people might draft him higher because if they don't pay that much attention, if they're a novice.
Right. He did a lot of commercials.
Yeah, exactly. They were good commercials, though.
They were.
He goes sit down and watch a movie, and he's got to walk around the whole stadium looking for a smoke detector.
How about now?
Turn lights off. Oh yeah, those are pretty good commercials. I'll be fair.
I'm expecting 40,000 people or whatever.
He's ranked the number 19th quarterback. Finished 20th last year. I've been reading into this. I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield fan, but after doing this research I'm kind of back in the
All right.
He's been working on his footwork a lot. He removed a stagger step from his drop back. So that means usually you start behind center. You got 1 foot kind of further back so you can get back more and kind of scramble. He removed a stagger step to improve on the West Coast footwork, which means more passing.
Interesting. Nice.
More passing. He's going to have Hunt and Njoku for a full season. He didn't have either of them for a full season last year, and he added Hooper.
Yeah.
Their team had just, obviously they disappoint so far, but they're improving and getting more and more players each year that could be a huge impact. And I feel like this is Baker's year. It's this year, or no?
That's fair. But I mean, that's
this year
really,
he's going his career being mediocre.
It's really interesting because, like, I mean, you also had OBJ suffering a groin injury kind of in the middle of the season last year.
And
Those linger.
OBJ's out to prove something too because he's sick of people talking shit about him, and he's out to prove something as well.
He wants to be the wide receiver 1 on that team instead of Jarvis Landry. And you didn't mention it, but the offensive line got better. But that literally helps Baker. I quoted it last year. He was sacked like 40 times or something. He wasn't the most in the league, but he was up there top 5 or 6 or something. So that's really going to help. I mean, that gives him more time in the pocket to throw those passes. He'll be less inclined to scramble poorly.
If you're in a 12-person league, your standard 12-person league, he's ranked as number 19. If there's a bunch of ratings whores out there, he's not going to be drafted as anyone's quarterback 1, but I could see him easily being a quarterback 1.
Imagine you go into the season with Teddy Bridgewater and Baker Mayfield. You got 2 guys super cheap, super late. See what happens. You probably got 2 guys that you can switch between back and forth.
There's always a quarterback or 2 that's on the waiver wire that busts out of nowhere that you could pick up. There's trades, there's everything.
Lamar Jackson was like a 9th round pick last year or some bull crap like that. So they're out there. It's Kyler Murray this year, but... All right, yeah. So my first low guy, my quarterback, my low guy approach was pretty similar. I'm going with guys that I personally am not as high on as the consensus. They still have, there's still a world where they come out, as a really good player. All these guys actually are being drafted fairly highly. But they have a lower floor. Things could go wrong, as well. Like Baker, he could be great.
Things could go wrong, but he's done enough, and he's in the position to do well.
And now
I still don't know if I'd draft him.
But where he's going, but
he's got a lot of upside.
So my low guy at quarterback is Carson Wentz. He is going currently as the 11th quarterback, which is right around where he finished last year, which was the QB9. My worry is a lot less about Carson Wentz. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, especially for fantasy. He likes to scramble a little bit, which just really, really helps when you have a quarterback that runs. Even a little bit, if he gets 30 yards, a game or something, it's a nice 3-point, floor to add. I don't like what's going on in the offseason. Just unfortunately, Alshon Jeffrey is not looking to be healthy by the time the season starts. They have Deshaun Jackson, and then outside of that, you're kind of in trouble. You have Jalen Reagor, who's their early rookie, I think a first-round pick, but with no, camp and stuff like that, the reduced offseason, just all rookies are taking a hit. So you have a weak wide receiving core. Brandon Brooks, their right guard, tore his left Achilles earlier this year. He's out for the entire season already. So that hurts Carson a lot as well. He could end up having a good season because he's a really, really great quarterback. But I feel like things are kind of just stacking against him to the point of where I just like other guys that are going in a similar area. I think you can be a little bit safer, especially if you're going late. You can get Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan and Tom Brady after you can get Carson Wentz, for example. So high range of outcomes. I'm a little nervous about where his floor kind of sits. He's a good enough quarterback to overcome it, but I guess time will tell. Low guy.
My next, got a running back. David Montgomery, ranked 24 this year, finished 22 last year. Coming off his rookie year, you can't really judge a man based off his rookie year. Like, he's the first year in the league. You got to get adjusted.
Right.
So he's going to be taking more of the load off of Cohen this year. And the Bears ranked 27th last year in yards, 28th in TDs for rushing. They need to focus on the running more. But he's a riskier pick, Montgomery, but there's a lot that could go right as well. If the Bears actually pay attention to what happened to them last year, if they learn from it, they could change. Like, I don't know if Foles will be the difference between him for Montgomery. I don't know how much Foles versus Trubisky will affect Montgomery, but I feel Montgomery could do so much better. Or if the Bears are idiots, he could do so much worse.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you're got depth at running back, and Montgomery will probably fall decently late. If you have depth already, he's worth looking at. He's worth the risk. But
yeah, I mean, he's going as the 28th running back. It's the 56th overall pick, which I think is around like the end of the 5th round. So he could end up being your 3rd running back. And I mean, it's really interesting because I don't know the stats on this. I don't have them offhand. But
24th running back.
I'm looking at Fantasy Pros
I'm looking at Fancy Pros.
consensus ADP standard scoring. Oh, we're looking at a different screen.
I'm at Fancy Pros.
So he's going around 24th, 28th.
God damn it.
We should figure this out. Or else we have to throw fantasy. No, I'm just kidding. Fantasy Pros is great. So anyways, I don't know the stats on this, on how the Bears were last year, but if you have a scenario where you know the quarterback isn't really that great, defenses stack the box, and that makes, running backs like David Montgomery have a tougher time because they're not as scared of a quarterback like Trubisky. So if he takes a step forward, or if Foles is starting and they're even a little bit better, that actually helps relieve pressure off of the running game, which is really exciting for somebody like that. And then just, I would add in general, running backs, the best running backs get a good workload. And you can argue about David Montgomery being great or not, or good or not, or whatever, but he's going to get a butt ton of carries.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be great for him. I mean, last year he had, I think he had like 250 or something like that.
Plus, Bears games will be a lot easier to watch if you don't have to watch Trubisky.
That's a really great point. It's a really great point.
It could be a lot more better to watch.
242 attempts last year, so he's going to get the rock again for sure, and maybe even a little more as he grows.
So obviously a riskier pick, but could pay off.
100%. All right, so my 2020 low running back is Austin Eckler. This opinion does change a little bit when you talk about PPR, half-point PPR leagues.
I love Eckler.
Oh, he's a beast.
I love Eckler.
His story's great. He was undrafted, and then here he is, an amazing running back.
He's getting paid.
He is getting paid. He got the money. So right now he's going as the RB14. If you're in standard, sorry. He's going as the RB13 in both half-point and PPR leagues. So really around the same draft price. He finished last year as the RB7, 6.5 point for in full PPR. What I take away from him is, according to Pro Football Reference, from the window of 2006 to 2019, Phillip Rivers has thrown 25.3% of his passes to the running backs. So literally a quarter of his passes have been thrown to running backs.
And he's had 52 children in that time.
One for each pass. No, and the league average over that same 13-year period is 13.9. So with Phillip Rivers leaving town, there are a lot less targets going to running backs, and that's where Eckler thrives.
But they got Tyrod Taylor now.
Yeah.
They're starting the season with Tyrod Taylor. That's gonna be something.
I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, that's a really good point to bring up. You start with Tyrod Taylor. There's a decent chance you transition at some point in the year to Justin Herbert if things don't go that great. A quarterback change is not good for anybody involved on the team. But even if Eckler hits that 13.9, he might get a little more. But that target share is going to go way down to the running backs, and that's where Eckler thrives. So he could be great. He's kind of the main guy in town, but if he doesn't get a notable carry count when you compare him to Justin Jackson and the rookie Joshua Kelly, I feel like right now you're drafting him around his ceiling. And if you get the break, that's great. He could finish better than the running back 14 for sure. But
he's going to be consistent, though.
He should be consistent. He's going to get more, targets than most running backs. But it's not going to be the crazy amount of targets that he got last year.
Well, and I feel like they might have run him out of, or used up. They knew they were going to be signing Melvin Gordon for the season, so I feel like they could have been using a lot of his energy in the beginning of the season because they knew they wouldn't need him as much towards the end.
Yeah, and now they're, Melvin Gordon free. Obviously, Joshua Kelly's not going to come in and be a crazy workhorse or anything like that. But he caught 92 balls on 108 targets last year. And I think those numbers are going to go down enough that it just makes me nervous. So really fits that low guy mold of he could be great, but I think the ceiling is a little bit lower than a lot of people want to believe.
My last guy, another wide receiver. See, I don't consider this guy a sleeper because he is going to be the number 2 wide receiver in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Allen Lazard.
Yeah, Allen!
You cannot consider him a sleeper. No freaking way.
With his draft price, maybe that's how.
And I believe Aaron Rodgers is pissed off and he's hungry for another Super Bowl. Lazard is ranked 61, finished 68 last year, and didn't even play till week 5.
Wow.
The Packers have no new receivers. They lost Jimmy Graham, but not that that matters. But they lost
opted out.
Funches, and you're the number 2 on the Packers. You're going to produce.
He's gonna have some games for sure. They don't have anyone else to 30, like you said. Aaron Jones will be the next guy.
Last year, only 477 yards, 3 touchdowns. But still, you're the number 2 in Green Bay. He cannot be considered a sleeper because he should not be slept on. Like, you got Aaron Rodgers throwing to you. I don't care who you are. You're going to catch the ball. Look what happens when Greg Jennings left Green Bay. He didn't do shit because he had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. Like,
he was still brainwashed by the Packers, according to him. That's the thing that Greg Jennings said.
Well, good thing he's an analyst now
brainwashing.
because he got through his brainwashing.
Well, that's exciting.
But I mean, Lazard, I assume they're going to update the ranks. They got to put him up from 61.
If he's at 61 right now,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you can get him. He's another guy you can get crazy late that should have some good upside. And
unless you're like us in Wisconsin, people will probably draft him. Like, he will get it pretty, not way too early, but people will still draft him early.
I've never had Aaron Rodgers on my team because I go quarterback late. Now, this would be the year I could actually draft Aaron Rodgers where I want to.
Nope, still not, Michelle.
And that's, yeah.
We have this one person who always drafts Aaron Rodgers. Always.
They will go, he's going to go, oh man, we should
go third.
We have to make a bet this show. I would be interested to see, I don't know how we do this, against each other, but I'm curious where he goes in our draft. According to like his ADP.
As far as quarterbacks or as far as everything?
Both. Like he's the 10th quarterback or something being drafted right now. He's going to go above that in our draft. And
sure, 100%.
I'm sure like whatever round he gets drafted in, I'm sure it'll be way earlier, like 4 or 5 or something really, really dumb.
But
that's a bummer.
Alan Lazard, just seriously, get him.
Draft him. Look at his ADP. Don't draft him like 5 rounds before he's going, but look where he's being drafted and draft him around then, maybe a round early. You're gonna be happy. Especially if you can predict the matchups. All right, my low guy is way higher in rankings than yours, but he still fits that mold of I think he's going to be great, but I'm not going to draft him because I'm worried that he's not going to be worth the price. I'm going with Mike Evans. So this year in standard leagues, he is the 7th wide receiver being drafted. I think it's 1 behind Chris Godwin at the wide receiver 6, again in standard. Last year, Mike Evans finished as the wide receiver 15. He only played in 13 games, so he missed a few. For fantasy, I think Tom Brady has to be considered a downgrade at quarterback. In reality, obviously, he's way better than Jameis Winston.
He doesn't take as many risks. That's 100%.
That's the thing.
Because he's smart. And
Jameis Winston.
And he can see straight. He doesn't need eye surgery.
Jameis Winston had more than 5,000 yards last season. He wasn't afraid to chuck the ball up in the fucking air and see what happens. And that resulted in 30 interceptions. So that's great for James. But that's really great for fantasy. You're throwing the ball up. You're not afraid to take those risks. And, if you throw an interception, you might kill a drive, but that also puts the other team in a position to be ahead, which means you have to throw the ball more to come back. So that can help wide receivers when the quarterback is kind of like that. Tom Brady is a smarter quarterback. He's not going to throw a bunch of picks, and he's also not going to bomb the ball downfield. That hasn't really been his MO for quite a while. The coach, Bruce Arians, loves throwing the ball downfield. So who wins here? What happens when you have
Tom
that
Brady
coach?
is the quarterback. Bruce Arians is the coach. He's not going to be throwing. He's not throwing it.
Bruce Arians is the coach.
Tom Brady will be throwing it.
Bruce Arians is the coach who likes to scheme the ball.
He loves to tell Tom Brady to throw the ball downfield.
Tom Brady basically is the coach as well.
Yeah, I'd let him coach.
Yeah,
I'd let him
it won't take long.
I'd let him do a lot of things.
Oh my!
He's on my koozie right now. Hey Tom, what's going on?
So who wins this battle? Tom Brady and his short, pinpoint precision passes, or is it Bruce Arians with his deep schemes, or is it a blend of both? I worry that, from where Mike Evans finished last year, it's not going to be as great this year. He's another year of development, coming for Chris Godwin. He's going to be a little further behind. You add Gronk, who's going to take more targets. You add a pass-catching running back with LaShawn McCoy, who's going to get more targets. So the competition for targets is greater. I think Mike Evans is just simply going too high.
And the Patriots didn't have any long ball guys last year, really.
No.
Edelman's not a long ball guy. He's a catch-and-run guy.
He's a Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
I
mean, they had Antonio Brown one week, and that was the closest they got to a long ball guy.
I didn't do this, but I wanted to go back and look at like the top 2 receivers for Tom Brady the last 10 years and just see where
Gronk.
The second guy finished each time. And because I think Mike Evans I don't think he's the second receiver. I think he's the 1B. He's so great. Mike Evans will have his first year of less than 1,000 receiving yards this year in his career. He's had 1,000 or more receiving yards every year in his career.
I think he's going to have his first season with 2,000 yards. Tom Brady's going to throw for 8,000 yards. I don't care what you say. Tom Brady is ageless.
Do you like Mike Evans? Do you think he'll get more than 1,000 yards?
Yeah.
Do you want to bet on it?
Bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, what do we bet?
We have to bet something. Neither of us have a Mike Evans jersey.
Okay, I've got 3 Buccaneers jerseys already. I don't want a collection of Buccaneers.
Do we make a jersey bet already? I think we did.
Yeah, we did, based on the fantasy
Our jersey
season.
bet was for the...
What if we do the Tom Brady Special Edition Super Bowl Funko Pop? Because they did the one, like, even Aaron Rodgers got one. It's basically just the regular Funko Pop, but they put a hat on them that says Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl that they were in. That's the difference.
I would do that. I don't have a Tom Brady Funko already. I got a lot of Funkos.
What
I
do you
have too many
sleep
football
with?
ones. What do I sleep?
Yeah.
My cat.
Yeah.
Not really. Well,
I sleep with a Tom Brady Funko Pop.
I'm writing it down.
And a woman, a human woman.
I was going to say that.
But also a Funko Pop of Tom Brady. He's a great spinner.
I'm like, I don't know if you're joking or not about sleeping with the Funko Pop.
Well, you'll have to sleep with me to find out.
Oh, man.
Only one way to find out.
So Mike Evans is my low guy. I think he's being drafted earlier than he is going to realistically be able to finish. I think you're taking too big of a risk that early.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to cut to a word from us. We have a partner helping out with the podcast, and you'll hear about him probably right now.
Howdy, partner. I don't know about you guys, but I've been counting down the days until the football season starts, and really for fantasy football.
You're the kind of guy, you're in way too many leagues because you can't get enough of it. I restrict myself to my Dynasty and my Redraft League, but I'm always still on the sites during work usually, tinkering with my teams, and that's where Thrive Fantasy comes in.
Yeah, and we're really excited to announce that we've partnered with Thrive Fantasy for the upcoming NFL season.
Indeed we did. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports apps for player props. They've eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top tier athletes.
That means no deep dives, no sleepers, no hours of research, just betting on the stars that you love to watch play.
Absolutely, and you're going to be choosing 10 player prop options from a list of 20 in order to build your lineup. These are all going to be guys like the Barkleys, the Jones, the Mahomeses. You think Mahomes will have over 297.5 pass yards, you take the over. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, so each prop is going to have a fantasy point total that is associated with an over or under based on the likelihood for that prop bet to occur. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. As you rack up points in your group, if you end up being in the upper echelon, you're going to win a share of the prize pool, which means money!
Did you use the word echelon?
Yeah, I did.
That's good. That's a smart word. All right.
I thought you were putting me on the spot.
No, man. And they do more than just football, too. They cover NBA, MLB, PJ, and even some esports. We played on some of the NBA games the other night and really ended up getting into the games and rooting for our guys. I didn't hit big, but I got my money back, so I'm going to be going back in and trying to win some more.
So we really just sit around and watch football together every Sunday, just drinking beers. And there's no doubt that we're going to be playing some Thrive Fantasy against each other to try to borrow a few bucks from the other guy.
So use promo code FANTASYBREWS, all one word, when you sign up today, and you will receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more.
So go and download the Thrive Fantasy app on the App Store, the Google Play Store, or by visiting their site at thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today, and don't forget to use promo code FANTASYBREWS.
Now back to us in the basement. Wow, thanks us.
It's a great basement.
Thank you. It is. Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of good work.
We've been working hard. Jackie's stepdad has been working really hard while I just pay for things. I don't know how to do things, but I can pay for them. That's all that matters, I guess, to me.
Turned out well.
Our superlatives. So superlatives are those things like you vote for in high school. Everyone gets put in cutest, best smile, best eyes, most likely to succeed, biggest Johnson.
Is that one?
I'd pick David. Hey-o. Penis joke.
Oh.
Bow.
But you folded it into a relevant player joke.
That was the funny part.
You did a great job.
That was the fun.
Like
That's what made
the
it.
penis part alone was, I thought it was clever.
Yes, very clever. Our first superlative is class clown. This is actually what I got voted in high school.
I don't think I got one at all.
Yeah.
How many people were in your high school graduating class?
200.
So I had almost 700.
You had almost
It
700.
was like 680 or
Holy
high 600.
shit!
Yeah,
I might also be very wrong. So I probably am.
I mean, you are who I would vote for a class clown from all the people I know in your class.
I guess. Well, I also might. I don't actually know.
goof.
I didn't care about high school, so I also didn't care about a lot of people I went to high school with. They can suck it. Unless they're listening, then thank you. You're awesome.
But then you probably actually still like them and are friends with them.
Yeah, whatever. My NFL class clown. I feel like for a good amount of these, we're going to have the same picks. I feel like a lot of these are obvious. George Kittle.
I went with Zeke.
Zeke as a clown?
I just so I did these off the cuff. I prepared these like moments before we started recording. But I thought of class clown, and I just pictured like Zeke jumping in the
True.
pot.
Okay, I get it. And last year he did the Dak Prescott, that little whatever shimmy with his thyroid. I get it.
Funny guy.
I like, and he's always that way. He had that little that gif where he's just going ham on the cereal. Okay, I can see Zeke. But
Tell us about Kittle.
Always in a good mood. You listen to him mic'd up, he's hilarious. He's always like stealing the boom. Like he'll be sitting on the bench, there'll be a boom above him trying to get some audio. He'll just grab it. He'll just like start talking to you. He's hilarious. He wears funny t-shirts. Like he wore that shirt he had a shirt signed by Jimmy G, and the shirt was Jimmy G shirtless on his own shirt. And
so it made his body look less impressive, essentially.
Yeah. But I think George Kittle is hilarious. The run, I'd say honorable mention would of course be Gronk.
I bet you, that's a fair one. I bet you.
We already made a bet.
No, that's a fair one. Oh, I bet you. Yeah. I bet you that Kittle's nose turns red in the cold too, just like a clown. Red nose. The Johnson joke was way better. I can't follow that.
Edit this later.
I could.
Now don't edit it. Now it'll be funnier if you don't edit it.
If we never stop
Unless
talking,
we do edit.
If we don't let any silence happen at any point, then I won't be able to edit it out.
All right, George Kittle. And my school selected two. They had a boy and a girl for each, so good. It's good to have us two. So
did you choose a girl?
Which one's the boy?
For the class clown?
It was my friend Julia.
Oh, nice.
In real life?
I didn't look these up. I should look them up. I don't think anyone would care, I guess.
Yes.
Brian went to high school with me.
George Kittle, Ezekiel Elliott, good class of clowns. Next up, cutest couple.
I don't think we got the same one for this one.
Because you know who I picked.
Did you pick? Okay, go.
Brady and Gronk.
Okay. Oh, Gronk. Yeah. I thought about Grady and Godwin for a second. I like Brady and Gronk.
Well,
that makes more sense.
They're reunited in Tampa. Gronk only came back because of Brady. How cute is that?
Gronk is like the even though he's much younger than Brady, he left and came back. He's kind of like the college freshman that went back to like prom in high school.
Except he's younger than Brady still.
Yeah, but he
You went to your prom when you were in college? Mike, you were that person?
I was.
Were you dating her actually, or you just went there as a?
No, but yeah, there's more involved. I was asked to ask someone, but I went with.
Did you have sex?
No.
Oh, then why did you? I don't get it.
I
was a virgin through high school. I don't know what I'm talking about, man.
Senior year, baby. I think
college,
or else it was junior year. But no, I was in band. We were different ages, but still friends. So it was nice to see a lot of people.
But Brady and Gronk, not to mention, they're both very good-looking guys. Brady is obviously the more natural beauty. Gronk is just like, he's just sort of a sexy party guy.
Yeah.
You want to party with him, and then you want to take body shots off his belly button and abs, lick his nips. Well, okay, I'm getting too far now. I've had a couple of cows, and I get frisky. But I looked up, on top of it all, I don't know how many cutest couples in high school had these stats, but they have career hookup stats of 7,786 yards and 78 touchdowns.
Wow.
That's fucking nuts. Brady averages 123.9 passer rating when targeting Gronk compared to 94.7 of anyone else. They're made for each other.
That's
they
insane.
are the cutest couple.
That target to that target to touchdown ratio sounds like number of times hooking up compared to number of times like finishing. For her,
whenever I hook up, I finish.
for the woman, theoretically, if you're into that.
Who's your couple?
So my couple, you went for like an older established couple, right? Like they've been around a while. They're the they're not the Ross and Rachel.
They're the cutest.
They
didn't break up. Gronk just went on vacation.
But they were on a break. I went with the hot new couple. I went with Kyler Murray and his new wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, coming to town in Arizona where it's hot and steamy. You got Kyler. He's young. I bet he's handsome. They're both
You
studs.
bet he's handsome. You've seen what he looks like. You know what he looks
I don't
like.
like shorter guys.
You don't like Wow, someone's shallow.
Well, yeah, Kyler is. Oh!
Okay, that one's better. You're improving. Your jokes, at least.
I just need to keep having the cow.
In the shallow, la 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 low.
Is that a Creed song?
Far from the shallow now. No, it's from Stars Born. In the shallow, la la
It'll make
low,
more
low,
sense
low,
once-
low.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this couple fares. I think they're going to dazzle a lot of people. I think they're going to get caught in the locker room once or twice. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, super cute.
I think I saw something that actually they're like becoming very good friends.
Yeah, I would hope that's true.
So Brady and Gronk, Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins. They're the new talk of the town couple. Okay.
Now, just for the record,
They got the votes just because they're fresh.
Kyle and I weren't eligible for this. You had to be an NFL player, an active NFL player.
Mm-hmm. And I only play Madden. Next up, best hair. Please have the same one as me.
I feel like we did because I only prepared for like 10 seconds. Should we say it on 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to say it on like after
1, 2, 3.
Patrick
Gardner
Mahomes.
Minshew.
Oh, did you include facial hair?
I definitely put
I
it
like
into
it.
effect. But his hair, his flow anyways. Oh my God, Gardner Minshew. He can just win cutest couple by himself.
You can't like include the jorts in your.
No,
Assessment.
not even. Did you see the gif, the latest gif of him where he's doing the Zoolander turn and look and he just flips his hair. Does the mustache. He's got the flow. He's got the swag. He's got the hair.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it. We should tweet it.
Gardner Minshew. Love the guy.
So I went with Patrick Mahomes. He's got pretty cool
Head and
hair.
shoulders.
Yeah, I thought that was the main reason. I loved that
Commercial.
like the commercials before with Troy Polamalu. I didn't like. I think they were funny. I didn't like love them or anything, but they were funny for sure. But when they had Polamalu and Mahomes going back and forth with offense and defense, that was really funny. I liked that a lot. So I vote Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Minshew Mahomes for best hair.
He was your Iron Man, right? Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's got pretty good hair.
Yeah.
Stark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facial
I mean,
hair.
he can also afford good hair.
So can Patrick Mahomes.
Drama King.
Oh, man. Do you think we put the same one for this one?
Antonio Brown.
I didn't put him because I didn't know if he was eligible.
I put him because I mean...
He just got a suspension. I guess he is an
He's just got it. Going back to last year, I don't like my new helmet. I don't want to wear those protective socks so I don't get frostbite. I don't want to be on the Raiders. I retire. I want to play. I retire. I want to play. Now I'm a rapper. Okay, we get it. Antonio Brown, like, drama king. Get out. I don't care.
I'm laughing so much. He could be the class clown.
He's-
Yeah, I know. So he was my first thought. I didn't know if I should put him or not. Who would you put if you couldn't put Antonio Brown?
As drama king?
Yeah.
Dak.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just for his contract.
That's fair. Yeah, he's
Just sign up for the contract.
I think he's worth it. I think he deserves the
Yeah,
money
I
he's
do.
trying
But
to
he's
get paid.
also being...
We'll see. He's franchise tag this year, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So if he proves it this year, he's gonna get even more money than he could have gotten last year. Or this year currently. So I went with Odell Beckham Jr. I think I'm reaching back a year or two a little bit. But I remembered a lot of funny moments. Drama does involve some really fun, exciting stuff too. So I think like the crazy one-handed catches are pretty dramatic in an exciting way. You have the time where he's like, picking a fight with a field goal practice post thing on the sideline. And you got
Oh, yeah, when he was kicking it.
Yeah, I remember that. And so he's done some pretty crazy
passionate.
stuff. I would prepare more things to talk about. We'll tweet him. He's pretty dramatic, but he's kept his cool this last year or so, and especially in some trying times. So I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Antonio
be
Brown?
dramatic in a good fashion.
OBJ. This next one, most likely to listen to Creed.
Now the Creed thing I said earlier makes a little more sense.
Can you take me higher to a place where blind man see? Phillip Rivers, obviously.
Oh my God,
That is the most obvious pick.
I was between him and I put Greg Olson. I feel like
Greg Olson's pretty good too. I can say, but yeah, that's good. Phillip Rivers wears button-up and bolo ties to his press conferences post games. He definitely thinks he's the cool dad, and he also thinks Creed is good rock music. My dad had Creed CDs growing up, and look how I turned out. I actually love Creed. But just their popular songs. I don't know the deep discography, but it can take me higher.
Philip does. Philip knows. Him and Greg go together.
I feel like Greg is a good pick, too.
I was literally between the two. I could show you my search history. And
I don't want to see your search history.
But just for the last hour.
It's still.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad. You would see my Brews Clues answer.
Philip Rivers and Greg Olson. I feel like those two are like the dads of the NFL.
Man, they've never played together, huh? They should get together. They could be a pretty cute couple.
No.
Maybe like 7 years ago.
The last superlative. I think we watched the same YouTube
This
video when we were
one-
figuring that stuff for best dancer.
You said yours was an hour long?
No, for like 5 minutes.
Oh.
I didn't watch an hour long
I think
video.
when it was-
I watched like a 5-minute YouTube video of the best celebration dances from last year to pick the best dancer.
Can we play a game with this one? Because I do think we have the same one this time.
I don't think we do.
You don't think we do?
No.
Okay.
What game you want to play?
I was going to make up something like 20 questions, except we won't do 20, but like a quick back and forth of like, is your guy in the AFC?
I picked the entire Seahawks receivers.
That's not who I picked.
You probably picked DJ Chark.
I did.
Yes, I knew it. That's what I was saying. But I picked the entire Seahawks receivers because they did 3 coordinated dances, like good ones. They did the Bye 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 by NSYNC.
Nice.
And they did the new edition, If It Isn't Love. Because if it isn't love, why do I feel this way? Why does she stay on my mind?
For those that don't remember, group celebrations used to be illegal to them.
Oh my god!
right?
I don't. They got rid of them for
What
like
a great decision
couple.
that was.
I don't know how many years it
bring
was
back.
total, but it was like 3 or 4 years they couldn't celebrate. That was the stupidest thing
Yeah.
the NFL's ever done. Fuck you, Goodell.
Glad they brought it back.
But I know they're the best. So touchdown celebrations are the best.
Yeah, that's where my mind went as well. I didn't have any that,
DJ
jumped
Chark
in my
had some
mind.
good ones.
He was, I don't like remember seeing them last year, like live. But he was.
Did
really
you watch
good.
any live Jaguars games?
I mean, I probably on Red Zone where the touchdowns would happen. I probably saw him and I just don't remember. But DJ Chark, man, he's dancing and he dances around those DBs. Let's be honest.
I love DJ Chark.
Oh, he's exciting.
I love the guy. Those are our superlatives. Let us know on our Twitter.
Do you like our picks? Do you disagree? What were your picks?
Yeah, who do you think is the best dancer in the NFL? And also, who's the cutest couple? Or do you think Ben Roethlisberger's caveman homeless look is best hair? I do.
If we were going to go with most successful, I was just going to go through like my high school football career with Melvin Gordon.
Stop calling it a career.
Our football team didn't
Stop
do
calling
anything.
it a career. It's not a career.
It was
You
1 year on the JV team, but our team did nothing but give the ball to Melvin, and we went undefeated. So that was pretty great. Anyways,
moving on from the superlatives, we're gonna finish off. Well, before we do Brews Clues, some draft advice tips because everyone's draft's coming up, and people they need to know what to do.
and hopefully you're going to see us implement some of these tips next week.
Let's hit some main bullet points. My first one, don't follow suit. Do your own thing. Too many people see others like taking a quarterback right away, and they only do it because they see it's happening to other people. Like
pressure.
Your kicker defense, don't even bother. Like take them if you're forced to take them in the last rounds. If you're not forced to take them in the draft, figure it out later.
That's a great
Especially kicker.
Yeah.
Like
You can
they're
leave the
not
draft
worth
without
the
one.
draft pick. You could pick up some random guy who you can end up trading, and don't follow suit.
Yeah, I like that. My first tip is about drafting quarterbacks and tight ends late. So we already kind of talked about this a little bit. I won't go too in depth.
That's my next one.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, so we talked about it at the top of the show. Quarterbacks, you only have to start one. They're one of, if not the easiest positions to predict.
Mm-hmm.
And when you draft a great quarterback like Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, you're passing on a great piece of offense that like a wide receiver or running back that you have to start multiple of.
Leagues
every
are
week.
starting 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Those are more important.
Can't put a quarterback in the flex usually.
You don't need a stellar quarterback to win the season. It helps definitely, but there are plenty of quarterbacks who can get a solid 15 to 20 a game.
Yeah, you don't need, the Lamar, he's great. He's going to win you weeks, but you're going to be in a bad position when your players that you have to substitute in at receiver are worse. This translates to being open to streaming quarterbacks and tight ends fall in this category as well, which we'll talk about during the season. And then I literally also wrote a note about defense and kicker should be your last 2 picks.
Yes.
Defense and then kicker should be your last pick.
And
again,
even then, only if you're forced to.
literally check your league settings. You
Yes.
might not have to draft a kicker, and then you shouldn't until I had
What's
I
your
had no
ideal-
kicker on my dynasty team for like the whole summer.
What's your ideal round for a quarterback?
It does depend. I've found myself this year drafting Kyler Murray around the 5th or 6th round if he falls to the 6th, especially, which is much earlier than I usually draft a quarterback.
It just goes along with my don't follow suit. People are going to be taking Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson, probably 3rd, 4th round. Don't follow suit right away.
I don't know where Kyler's ADP is this year right now because it's probably been going up. But if he falls to the 6th round of me or something like that, I'll take the shot on him. But no, otherwise I'm going to wait. Like we talked about Matt Stafford in like the 9th or 10th round.
Yeah.
Wait for that. That's fantastic.
Main thing, cannot get over this, and your commissioner will thank you, plan ahead. You don't want to be rushed on your pick, first of all, and end up making a decision just because you have to get it out.
Right.
Many players have other stuff going on that also could affect their season that you want to kind of see what's going on with that player before ahead of time. And commissioners don't want the draft to drag on.
Right.
It's beneficial for you, it's beneficial for everyone else in the league. Nobody wants to wait for you to figure out who you want to take between these two guys. Plan it out, have your rankings, and go with it.
Yeah, have a ranking set, make adjustments to it.
The biggest thought you should put into it is what position are you getting next, not what player. You should already have what player from each position you want next.
Right.
Also, I mean, pay attention to bye week. Yeah, that could affect it a little bit, but then, even then, just look at your bye weeks, know who you're going to pick, and the hardest thing is really what position you're taking next.
Be ready to go. I like it a lot. All right, my next tip is about later in the draft. After you've kind of gotten your starting lineup, and I don't like to use that phrase because that kind of implies draft a quarterback before you draft backup wide receivers and running backs, which very well might not be the case. You have to start more of them, and running backs, especially the depth, is pretty shallow, so you want to get some guys. But when you're later in the draft and you're drafting like receivers and running backs that aren't going to be in your typical starting lineup, you want to look for players that have high upside, and you especially want to look for players that you'll know what's going on early in the season. We talked about Terry McLaurin before. He went undrafted in most leagues, or almost all leagues. He had a great week 1, and people picked him up, and he was great the rest of the year. So that happens every year. You need to have people you're ready to cut if you want to pick up a Terry McLaurin like that in week 1.
I usually do. If I've got 2 or 3 solid running backs, I'll take a risky pick.
Right.
I'll take a pick that could I cut him week 3? Sure.
Absolutely.
Easily. But could he pay off? Okay. But the thing that matters is I've got my solid starters for the non-bye weeks, and he could pay off huge.
Take those riskier players that have a legitimate path to some upside. I jotted down a couple quick names at a few positions that you can get super late in your draft, maybe even at the very end of your draft. Zach Moss, rookie running back in Buffalo. Maybe he gets a bigger, carry share than we think he's going to get. He's the RB 42 right now. Joshua Kelly is the same boat in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Sammy Watkins is the second receiver presumably in with the Chiefs in Kansas City. He's the wide receiver 52. We talked about Brandon Ayuk. He's the wide receiver 60. Curtis Samuel could have a bigger role than people think. Wide receiver 61. Ian Thomas is the tight end 21. All these guys, you'll be able to look at week 1 and you'll be able to say, oh, okay, Zach Moss got 3 carries. I can drop him to pick up somebody else. Or Zach Moss got 8 carries and 4 targets. He actually might have a role in this offense and is worth holding on to. So those guys that you'll know really early on and can make a decision, even if you cut them, great. That's more room for somebody else that you're going to want to pick up that nobody did in week 1. So take those dart throws later on in the draft with some guys that have some realistic path to some upside like Brandon Ayuk.
My last advice, don't be biased. I never draft Tom Brady. Never draft Tom Brady. I love him. Love the guy to death, but I never draft him. Half because I don't want to jinx it. Half because I don't want my emotions to get away, and I don't take someone I obviously should pick over Tom Brady.
That sounds biased, but in the other way.
Exactly. But it's less biased because there's only one player.
I love the tip too. I mean, we talked about Aaron Rodgers earlier. I would love to have him
We're
on
in
my
Wisconsin.
team.
We're in Wisconsin. People who aren't from Wisconsin don't realize the Packers are freaking everything here.
Oh my gosh.
Everything.
And I agree, but I'm smart in my fantasy draft.
People who take Aaron Rodgers goes probably on average the 3rd or 4th round.
He was like the second,
drafts.
3rd, 4th round in the last few years.
It's ridiculous.
I'm sure that's why I'm interested.
Any league, it's ridiculous. Don't be biased.
I like the tip. All right, my last tip is kind of funny because this still applies. Let the draft come to you. Don't go in saying I'm going to draft at this position in this round and then this one and then this one. See what happens. Be able to react. Doing mock drafts, to Kyle's first or second tip being prepared is really important. But this year specifically, there's a pattern that I've been seeing that I've found in the couple mock drafts I've done and also in some of the best ball drafts that I've done. I don't love the running backs in the third or fourth round. There's a lot of guys that I have concerns about, whereas the receivers that are available there I really like. So I actually have a strategy this year where, again, I see what happens, but a lot of the time I'm finding myself drafting running back in the first couple rounds and switching to receiver. And just to highlight some of those names, receivers available in the third and fourth round, you have Galladay, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson. There are other names I didn't want to list a bunch. In the third or fourth round. So you can stack up running backs early and get those really high tier guys and still have really quality receivers.
Especially if it's not a PPR.
Yes, absolutely.
Then, that's so, a non-PPR adds so much more focus on certain style running backs than wide receivers.
In your league, we start 3 wide receivers. So
Yes.
that they're even more valuable in that scenario.
But it's not PPR.
Correct.
So it kind of breaks even with that, because I don't know. I just let the people vote on what they want to do,
Right.
And I if we has enough votes, I change up. And people said last year they wanted to add another starting wide receiver. I said 3. I'm more than okay with starting 3 wide receivers. Absolutely no problem with
It was
that.
fun.
It was fun. You got to play, because then it forces people to play the waiver wire a little bit and actually pay attention.
Right, makes you
The waiver wire is dry. For sure, but
because you have an extra position. But yeah, I mean, it just makes it all that more, invested and exciting in it. So with those receivers I listed off, the running backs going in the same area, the third and fourth round: Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, and David Johnson. So there are some names I'm okay with there. I kind of like David Johnson this year, but if I can load up with Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake or something, and then grab DJ Moore.
That was a good one. That was a good open. That was a solid opening.
That sounded like an existing soundbite, and now
that was live. You heard it freaking live.
So if I can get some really nice running backs early and then come back with Galladay and Allen Robinson or DJ Moore and AJ Brown, I'm feeling really good in my draft. So I kind of like that. But again, I note that you shouldn't go in the draft saying I'm going to draft this position in this round. If things change, if in the first round I'm at the 7th pick, I might be taking that Michael Thomas or Devontae Adams if the tier of running backs kind of.
I hate those picks. I hate that being the right middle. I hate that.
If you're 1 or 2 from the turn, you can play some really fun mind games with I'm pick 10 out of 12, so those 2 guys have a bunch of receivers, so they're going to draft running back. So I'm going to draft my running back now and get a receiver on the way back.
Those are draft tips,
Mm-hmm.
draft pick tips. If you're a novice and you're just trying to stay in the competition, follow those tips. You'll seem smarter, first of all, and you'll do better. Don't be that person who drafts Aaron Rodgers in the 2nd round.
Which is most of our listeners.
Don't do it.
And let us know if you have questions. You can DM us on Twitter, or I guess just tweet at us. And we would be happy to answer your questions on the show.
If you're in the middle of a draft and you really need help, DM us and we will call you.
We're going to tweet Kyle's phone number?
I'm going to call you. We're not going to tweet my phone number. We're going to call you and we're going to be like, hey, let's help you out here.
You just put us
That's
on
how much
speaker?
we care. That's how much we need listeners. We are willing to call you during your draft.
We'll do your draft. Just put us on speakerphone in a potted plant somewhere.
And just put an earbud in. Earbud? What are they called?
I think that's...
AirPod.
Oh,
Airbud's
Airbud.
the dog that plays basketball. I'm going to create some Airbuds.
You Airbud earpods. You were close. You're in the vicinity.
Well, they call them earbud. I feel like they missed a real opportunity there calling them Airbuds.
Maybe there's a copyright issue.
Well, I don't know. Now they got Santa paws and
with our old intro
they got
song.
puppies in space and shit like that. Bring back the old... Airbud played football for a little bit.
I saw those movies.
Did you?
The Airbud movies? I mean, I couldn't count them, but yeah.
I've got the football one. I do have the football one. But that's the only one I cared about. I cried during that thing.
After one of these...
He punched the ball. He punched the basketball. He says, "Get out of here, buddy! Get out of here! I don't want you no more!" I don't know why he's an old man in this, because it's a high school kid? Middle school
You're
kid?
making him an old man.
Yes, in this situation. In just my voice.
Yeah.
But I cried during that. I'm like, fuck, man, that dog was scoring buckets for you, and you're just going to get him going? He also loves pudding. That's what I remember. And there was a creepy clown guy. I don't... What a weird movie. What a weird-ass movie that was.
After one of our more intense and indulging episodes of Fantasy Brews, we'll have to...
Maybe Saturday we'll watch the football one.
Bring the projector.
I think it's called Golden Retriever. Golden Receiver.
That makes...
That's the pun. Golden Retriever is just a type of dog.
Yeah.
But it's called Golden Receiver. He also plays volleyball and baseball. I think it's called 7th Inning Fetch.
Oh, okay.
Tweet us your favorite Air Bud movie. Well, because now there's like Air Buddies, where it's a bunch of puppies and they like go to space. They like help.
So they're still making
They
them?
like help Santa Claus now.
The original dog has to be dead, right?
Oh yeah,
Bud.
Buddy.
Man, what a sad day that
His name
must
is
have been.
Buddy.
I need to go back and mourn. I love those movies growing up. I can't recount them, but
I watched the other ones, but only like once. The basketball one I watched multiple times. The original Air Bud. It's a classic.
I like it.
Those are tips. Moving on to Brews Clues. Do you want to start because I'm winning? Or should I start because I'm winning?
That's a great point. If I start and you get it, I'm going to feel...
It's a mind game now. I'm letting you pick who goes first. I'm playing mind game.
Can we like flip a coin or something?
Nope, I don't have one.
Way to...
No. I've got this signed Brett Favre helmet. I don't know if I'll flip it though, because it's a little expensive.
I'm going to press a drop, and if it's a good sounding one, like a positive thing, then I'll start. If it's like a negative context drop, then you start.
You're missing.
I can't see what it is. Is it good?
I don't know. I'll start.
All right.
All right. Mine, I'm going to start. I'm up 3-0 on the season. Despite finishing the season at the number 58 ranked wide receiver last year, this guy is ranked as the 25 this year by Fantasy Pros. He had 5 touchdowns last year.
So,
despite finishing the season at the number 58 wide receiver last year, this guy is ranked as the 25 this year and had 5 touchdowns last year.
So he was 58 last year with 5 touchdowns, but this year he's ranked as the 25th wide receiver. Man.
I'll hold this up for you. So
thank you very much. Teams. That's nice. So he's projected to do a lot better this year, 5 touchdowns, 58. The list I pulled up on my computer initially of teams is alphabetical, and the Ravens catch my eye, and I wonder if Marquise Brown is not the answer.
No, shut up. No, get out of here. That is it's incorrect.
It is a good guess, though. I was more on base than last week.
It's a decent guess. He was a punt return man the first 2 years of his career, right? And he had 1 return for a touchdown. His most touchdowns in a season was his rookie year with 8. He had 7 receiving and the punt return. Man. His most yards receiving, though, was in 2016 with 1,448 yards. Again, punt return man first 2 years of his career where he had 1 return. Most total touchdowns in a season was his rookie year with 8. Most yards receiving was in 2016 with 1,448 yards.
I have another guess that I'm not.
Don't say it until you know, because I will
interrupt me.
Take that. Interrupt you. Shut up. You're going with Hollywood. So Hollywood City.
This is technically my first guess right now.
Bite me.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh. No, that wouldn't make sense. I feel like the person I'm thinking of is going lower than the 25th receiver.
Ooh.
But he's been in the league
long enough.
I don't know where he finished. Maybe he's probably better than 58 last year, too.
Ooh.
Oh, gosh. He's been in the league. I don't think that would make sense.
Go!
I have to do it. I'm going to say Julian Edelman.
No! Incorrect. Last question clue. AFC South, Jags, Colts, Texans, Titans. Same
division as last
week.
And it's not Phillip Rivers, I bet.
Colts, it is Phillip Rivers. I'm sorry.
That was not my guess. You said receiver. The Jags receivers are all too young. The Texans receivers, now you have me thinking that it might be one of them, but I had one from the Colts that comes to mind. I don't think the Titans are going to have anybody involved. I'm going to say T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah! T.Y. Hilton!
I almost said Cobb.
I'm surprised he had 5 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I am honestly surprised by that.
I've been looking at ADPs more recently because I'm recording a podcast about fantasy football, and so it's helping.
That's the main reason I was shocked that he had 5 touchdowns last year. Like, obviously he was hurt a majority of the season, and he didn't do much. He wasn't there, but he still somehow got 5 touchdowns.
Finish.
He got 5 touchdowns out of it, and yeah, the finish of 58 going to 25. But still, isn't that weird though? His most touchdowns is rookie year with 8.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think that's what made me rule out Cobb.
Yeah.
Or like why I decided
Yeah.
to Hilton over Cobb.
Cobb's got it.
I don't remember his rookie year either though. So
I was thinking Cobb's had to have a season that was more than 8 touchdowns.
That's a good point. Is his biggest maybe, I don't know.
Cobb had 12 in 2014 and 8 in 2012.
Wow. Remember we were talking about the wide receiver 2 of the Packers a while ago?
But T.Y. Hilton, I feel like, I don't want to say overhyped, but I feel like his stats aren't what you think they are.
It's funny because like my general thought on T.Y. Hilton is that he's a small value this year. I'm not drafting him way above 25, but
He finishes,
I like
don't
him.
get me wrong, he finishes in like the top 25 a lot, but still his stats aren't as crazy as you might think.
I mean, he's the wide receiver 1 on a team that's got a pretty decent offense, a great offensive line, and they're switching quarterbacks, but it's not like they're going to a rookie. They have a guy with plenty of experience in throwing interceptions.
Probably his last year with the Colts this year.
You think this will be it right now?
That's what they're saying.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
All right, you got 1 point. The score is 3-1, but I could get some more.
I hope that you don't.
That's the point of the game.
All right. So I think my clues are a little less fleshed out, but that's totes fine.
What do you mean by flushed out?
I think I have less words in each.
Oh
clue.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like it was kind of hard because I like to include enough, but not give it away.
I want to know if the listeners get these before, like...
Yeah,
like
but can
what
we
they're-
trust
Yeah,
these
exactly. I
bastards?
think, fuck no, we can't. They're going to say...
I got it before you even said anything.
I have 30 points so far. It's been 3 episodes. Calm the hell down.
Yeah, get out of here, Jared.
Fucking liar. All right.
If there's a Jared out there, I apologize for calling you out specifically. But
Unless you're a liar, Jared.
yeah, also fuck you, Jared.
Sorry. Fuck
Tweet us at Fantasy Spot.
All right. So my first clue. Since being drafted in the early first round of their rookie draft, which I consider within the top 10. So since being drafted in the top 10 picks of their rookie draft, this player has been in the top 12 of their position every year in half-point leagues.
You son of a bitch, you're not even giving me the position. Since they were picked
It'll
in the
become obvious.
top 10 of their rookie draft, they finished in the top what?
Top 12, so they've been a blank 1 every year they've been in the league.
Oh man. Since they were drafted. This is...
So basically they've been really good since they've been in the league. However long that is. It's not like a rookie or something. That would be shitty.
What?
Their 1 year was real good.
I'm going to go with... fuck, dude, this is so much harder when you don't tell me the position. Shit! I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson.
It is not Deshaun Watson.
That would've
Oh, wait,
been
I get to press a button. Yay!
If you hit the correct one, I would have gotten the points.
I did
You hit the wrong one.
I hit the correct one
Okay.
and hitting the wrong
You better
one.
give me the position of this next fucking clue.
This player last year had 116 receptions on 142 targets for 1,005 yards and 4 touchdowns. This ranks them as the 22nd best receiving stat line in, I'm sticking with half-point PPR.
Repeat that.
Their receiving stat line last year was 116 receptions on 142 targets for a total of 1,005 yards and 4 touchdowns. That ranks them 22nd on, I guess, like the receiving stat list.
Austin Hooper.
It's not Austin Hooper. I like the guess. That was a good guess. I don't know
Well,
what
and I feel like you're trying to throw me off with the fucking... It could be a running back or 10. I feel like it's not a wide receiver. You're not giving me the position. This isn't gonna help. This isn't gonna give me the position either. You're just giving me the fucking conference. God damn it.
Should we make it a rule? We can make it a rule going forward.
To give the position?
Yeah, in some way. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Definitely helps.
The last clue is I took the same division from last week as well. They're in the NFC South. So that would be the Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons.
Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons. I said Hooper. Oh, he's not in that anymore.
True.
Saints, Panthers. Kamara was dealing with an injury. Can't have been Kamara. I feel like if it's Jared Cook, I'm gonna be pissed. If
Here, I'll buy you a little time with the beer crack.
Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Falcons. I'm gonna go with Is it Calvin Ridley?
Did I press that the second time? Or is this...
I don't know.
I don't know.
Who is it?
Just in case. It's Christian McCaffrey. You were right. I was jonesing on you with the...
I knew.
I was trying to figure out how to phrase it so it wasn't like...
I guess I didn't realize he had over 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah, he was in the 1,000 club. He had over 1,000 rushing yards and receiving yards. I'm totally down to make...
It's so much harder when you don't know the position. There's so many... It's literally so many more players if you don't know the position.
Yeah, and like... Yeah, that was my plan, was to hopefully fool you with the receiving line.
But then
like,
again, with that, there's only so many players
but...
you can actually fool with that line. There's like the Travis Kelce, Kittle, McCaffrey, Kamara. Those are like the players you can get.
That's why I phrased it as like, I took his receiving line, I calculated the fantasy points for a half-point league, and then I compared it to the
I shouldn't
list.
have wasted my last guess on a wide receiver. I knew it wasn't a wide receiver. I should have gone with the obvious McCaffrey. Fuck. Well, shit. All right.
You're still up 3-1.
3-1. 3-1.
Oh, man. And maybe I was a little devious there.
Yeah, well, if people start responding to Twitter, we can take some live ones.
That would be exciting.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah, we can come up, I figured we'd kind of like formalize the rules a little bit as we go. So maybe like the first clue should always directly, supply the position or something.
So next week we got a mock draft in store. We're going to do a mock draft using the Sleeper app to really, prep for
TBD.
ours.
I want to see if there's a better than Sleeper.
If you guys know a very good mock draft app, let us know.
I'll pay for it.
He'll pay for it. And I'll use it.
There's got to be something that like just auto does the picks.
Besides this, I don't do mock drafts.
You should.
I know you should. I don't. I got more things to do.
Do best ball drafts for like $1, and then everyone's invested, and it's not a computer picking. It's more accurate.
Final notes. Add your final notes to this podcast.
Man, I don't know if I have any major final notes. I should probably be thinking about these as the episode goes on.
Just state your opinions.
I think it was a great episode. I'm excited to listen to it 2 more times myself. And definitely take, those draft tips, with you for sure. Listen back to at least that segment of this episode, maybe right before you head into your draft. It's really going to help out. It's important to just be fluid, make sure you're making decisions based on what you experience. And let us know if you have any questions for sure. I mean, about fantasy football, but specifically with drafts coming up. We'd love to take them, answer them on Twitter and or on the show.
Minshew Mania is real. Tighten up and go Pats.
We're gonna get it. Look at you.
I got it. You want to record? Just start.
Let me just not look at you.
I'm ready. I won't look at you.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Hold on. Count to 10 in your mind.
Go. Wait.
Count to 10 starting now.